Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ray here, and this video is entitled "Let Her Cook: Why a Woman Belongs in the Kitchen." Right. So, all right. Obviously, the title's a little catchy to bring you in, but the real reason why I brought you guys here is because I'm starting to realize that letting a woman cook, letting a woman simmer about you in her mind, is one of the most important things when it comes to getting women. Right. Like when I was younger, I would think that it's being aggressive or approaching and setting up the date and then getting her back and doing whatever you got to do. But what I'm starting to realize is that a lot of work can be taken for you if you plant that seed in her mind and let her take her own self on a date. Let her build you up in her mind. And women do this all the time, right? This is why they say that a man was hot until he opened his mouth, right? Because you broke that fantasy. But you can actually build that up with things like a fragrance or a behavior or your conversation. And how you do that is by being cool, calm, and collected, and not trying to overdo it, not trying to rush the interaction, right? I know it's hard to do that, and this is maybe more of an advanced sort of game. I wouldn't say advanced, but like not beginner. But it's really starting to work for me, especially as I get older. So, perfect example, in case I didn't explain myself correctly the first time. I was staying at a hotel, and I was speaking to one of the hotel staff. Happened to be a woman, and we'd say hi and bye. Nothing crazy. And one day I had like a real conversation with her. I found out she was from Guatemala. She was here with her sister. Things like that. So the next day I was running late for work. I'm running down the corridor, and I don't know what made me think of this, but I saw her and I instinctively thought I should go for a hug. So I go for a hug, and not only did she hug me, but she ran her hand across my chest and kissed me on my neck. And I'm not gonna lie, it got me kind of excited because like I didn't expect that to happen. So I was like, like, do you want to talk later? And she was like, yeah, yeah, I'm down for that. So I said, put your number under my door. So after that, we ended up having an interaction. I'll leave it at that. And while I was doing that, she said something about my scent because I had to move my room. And she goes, "Oh, now this room smells like you too." And I'm like, "What do you mean by that?" And I guess what happened was she was enchanted by my scent. I have like this relatively expensive, like sort of one of those scents that you put like the sticks in, and they kind of just, I don't know if it's a diffuser or whatever, but it accentuates the smell. Anyway, so I guess she liked that smell, and I also set my room up in a way that it was aesthetically pleasing. So I guess every day of her going in my room and changing it and smelling it and seeing like the different things I had there, I had like like a juicer and just cool shit, cool things that make, I guess, for a relatively interesting person. And I guess that got her intrigued. So every day she went into my room, it was, I guess it was almost like a date. Like, she got more and more interested in me in her mind. And that made it so by the time we had our first interaction, off of, sort of work time, I got the first night laid because she already seduced herself, right? So the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that if you plant that seed, women can seduce themselves. So you'll think that it's the third interaction, the first time you're seeing her. But in this girl's mind, she's been dreaming about you for the last couple of days. And I found that those things, those seeds that you plant in a woman's mind, make her fall in love with you so, so quickly. And it also makes it so hard for her to leave. Like they like declare their love for you on like the second or third date or the second or third interaction, and you're like, where's this coming from? But it's because she's built this up in her mind, right? I was dealing with another girl who I met at a diner, and like I was on my game that day. I don't know, I was on Clyde Nine, like freaking, like nothing could stop me. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how old you guys are, but like Super Mario when you ate the star and you like couldn't be touched. It was like that. Anyway, so it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. We're at this diner, really cool diner by the way. If you guys are ever in New York City, hit me up and I'll let you guys know where it is. But really cool diner. and 5 in the morning, and I just see this girl with blue eyes just like stare at me, and before she goes to the bathroom. So I'm like, all right, cool. When she comes out, I'm talk to her. So she sits back down. Her friend's on one side. She's on the booth, and I get up. I'm talking to my boy. My boy's I'm in the booth as well, so that's why I didn't see her from before. And my boy's talking to me. I'm like, yo, I gotta do this real quick. So I get up, I walk to her side. I walk to her booth. I hold her hand, and I swear to you, I talked to her, staring into her eyes for about a good 7 minutes, like not breaking eye contact, and she was just like entranced, like entranced. Um. Anyway, probably one of the best approaches I've ever had. And long story short is, I got her information. Her friend was with her too, but she didn't speak any English. She barely spoke English. She was from Belarusian, and yeah. And that interaction left such an impression on her that when we met up, she goes, well, we're leaving the first date, and she goes, "Do you remember when you held my hand?" And I was like, "On the first time you met me," and I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I like that." So we kept dating, and then she kept bringing up that first time that we met, and you know, she got really, really into me, and we're still dating each other, honestly. And like, it just got so intense so fast because again, she's building me up in her mind. Like that interaction stayed with her. What me looking into her eyes for 7 minutes, again, not on purpose. I mean, I don't know if you should even try to do that on purpose. That might just be weird, but the energy was just there. So I don't know how to describe it, but if you know, you know, vibes, right? But it stayed with her so much that she was thinking about it and thinking about it that by the time we met up the second or third time, she was ready to like essentially be mine. You know what I mean? Because like she's never felt energy like that before. You know what I mean? I mean, at least what she says. You know, you never know, but from what I can see, she just hasn't, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is you guys really need to use sort of letting this woman build you up in her mind. It really is like a slow cooker. You just set it and forget it, right? You plant the seed and she nurtures it. Like almost literally like you physically planting a seed in a woman, right? Like, you know, to make a baby, right? Like you give her the seed and she nurtures it. She makes it grow. And I think that's what women do in general, you know. Call me misogynistic, whatever, but that's, you know, what women do. And it's the same thing with an idea, right? She has this idea of you. Let her cook, man. Let her build that idea of you. Let that slow simmer because the meal is gonna be so tasty. You know what I mean? And you went all about your business. You forgot that it was even in there, and then it's dinner time, and it's like, wow, this is good shit. So yeah, you know, I would definitely end it off with that, and even something like the scent thing again. I started wearing, you know, more expensive perfumes, and you know, the same girl was like, wow, I don't want to wash my clothes because I don't want to forget the interactions that I've had with you, you know, or in this case, a specific interaction she had with me. She's like, I don't even want to wash my clothes because of the scent. And both these girls are saying things like, you know, you're the last thing I think about before I go to bed. I wish I was with you. So it's like, am I that great? I mean, I'm all right, but it's just the image that they built up in their mind. So side note, before I let you guys go, how to not break that image also is by not talking too much, right? Don't when you're having conversations, say what you need to say and get out, right? Don't try to have that all day conversation because it's gonna break, you know, the fantasy. And I know what you're thinking, you know, like you're like, well, the fantasy's gonna be broken anyway. But I'm like, yeah, but the whole world's a fantasy, right? To a certain degree. Um, Everybody has their pros and cons, but part of this world is being a bit, you know, fantastical, right? Like we all like that. We all watch movies. We all suspend reality for a bit. So in my mind, it keeps us going. Too much reality isn't good for you. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. I mean, obviously, you live in reality. I live in reality. But at the same time, we all want a little bit of magic, right? So let her have that magic. And then if you let her have it, she's going to, you know, feed that magic into you. You know what I mean? Pause. But she's going to feed that magic to you. And it's going to be just a generally good interaction. So the best way not to break that, I would say, is to just keep your interactions direct and flowing, and yeah, and build up your image, build up your scent, and build up your behavior, you know, and then let it speak for itself.